I want to introduce you to Victoria. Victoria is our 1989 Ford C8000. The 800 is the gas version, the 8000 is the diesel. And they started making this body style in 1957 and continued it all the way up to 1990. So it looks older than it is. It's got modern spring brakes. It's kind of fun. I enjoy driving it around. I will take you over. Let's meet her. Now, why is she Victoria? Well, I bought her from a place in Iowa. She was originally a highway Department of Transportation road painting truck. So had white and yellow paint splattered all over the back. And I picked her up in Victor, Iowa. Bought her off one of the government auction websites. Like I said, she's in 1989 and really in very good shape. All that rust that you see on there was stuff we just added. There were a couple rust spots. I'll show you here. Maybe I'll cut away to a picture of this. This was all crushed down and I hammered it back. We took the grill out, hammered it back, welded this, sanded all of these spots, and then sprayed the sanded spots with a mixture of hydrogen peroxide, a little bit of vinegar, and some salt. And it creates rust. This was bent in, and I've still got a little bit of planishing to do on that. You can tell that this is a later version of the C-Series trucks. The first ones, they had F-O-R-D across here, and then later had that. And I thought about maybe changing this to make it look more accurate to an older vehicle, but I kind of like that, so I'm going to leave it. I put new wiper blades on it because the original ones were just trashed. I did sand these details, the raised portions here on the circle and the cross, and then sprayed it. Otherwise, it was kind of hard to see that detail, and I like it. Down here, again, more sanding. On the doors actually, everything was in pretty good shape. There's no through rust anywhere on here. Even behind, inside the fender well, this is a pretty common place down here to rust out early on, but this one is all really solid. So no cancerous rust anywhere. The doors I've aged a little bit, and in this spot right here, I've got stencils coming, masking stencils. So they are a kind of a translucent, solvent-resistant mask that says in curved letters, Antelope Spring Farm, established 1961. I was born in 1961, so I'll be 60 here in just a couple weeks. And that's a little homage to me and my agedness. All right, I've cooled my phone off. Anyway, down here, I'm going to put those stencils on. I've got white one-shot paint coming, a sign lettering paint. I will paint that on through the masking, take the masking off, and then age the paint, and I'll show that when I do it. The rest of this, I did take the flatbed off. There was a flatbed on here, big, heavy flatbed, more than I needed. I took the flatbed off and I cut about 2 feet off the back of the frame and just welded this crossbar on here for now, just to hold the mud flaps, and put on some temporary taillights. I've got round, more vintagey taillights coming, and I'm going to put a farm truck bed on this with wood sides. We will show that in another video. So come around the back here. I'll show you the interior in today's project. By the way, this has an Allison automatic 5-speed. It's the MT653 transmission. I do tend to I really prefer the manual transmissions, but if I ever hope for my wife or daughter to be able to drive this, I kind of like the automatic in this. And then you can see the turbocharger on there. This has, like I mentioned, it's a diesel. It's the 8000 series. And this has a Caterpillar 3208, which is the same engine we have in one of our buses. I will show that in a little more detail in another video. And then here's the cab. So the door handle was off, and that spline shaft is all chewed up. The screw was busted off in there, so I drilled it out and tapped the hole, and I've got some Loctite 660. I'll show how to fix that handle. That will take care of that. Right now, it will unlock it, but you'll see if I pull on it, it rotates more than it should in each direction. And then this beautiful pair of imitation vice grips came with the truck for rolling up and down the window. I've replaced a few screws in here, and I've got new handles for that. And today's project is the seat. So it's got a bench seat, and I kind of like the bench seat, but it was all torn up before I hit the road from Victor, Iowa, driving all the way back to Arizona. This side of the seat was so collapsed, I was just sitting at an angle. So my first night, I pulled over and I found a part of a mud flap laying off the side of the road, and I cut it up into pieces and shoved it in under here, just on this side, just over here, to give it a little bit of support. And that way I was able to drive back in relative comfort, considering the fact that the air conditioner up here is not working at all. I kind of know what the issues are. I'll go into that in a separate video. But anyway, this is the cab gauges. The instrument cluster is in really good shape. I've got a couple bucket seats for this. It's fairly low here, about 7 inches. I looked at some other replacement seats. I thought about getting this one recovered, but I sort of like the idea of having 2 bucket seats in here. So I've got 2 seats out of a BMW that I just picked up. I looked at some other seats out of a Toyota, but they sat up about this high, and I wouldn't have had enough room underneath the steering wheel for my legs. But those BMW seats are really low. So I'm going to take this seat out, bring those BMW bucket seats over here, and put them into place, and we'll drill those out, put in some reinforcing brackets, and then install the new seats. All right, I should have explained. This is actually called COE, stands for cab over engine, because the engine is under here, and you sit right up over the engine and the tires, and your feet are down here. Some people complain because your feet are the first thing to meet the obstacle in a crash. There's not a lot of crush protection there. So I will be very careful. But anyway, to get this seat out, I've got to tilt the cab forward. Can't do that while I'm holding the phone, but let me show you how that works. So this is the main lock, this handle here. You pull it up, and it does a couple things. First off, at the end of its travel, sorry, I had my finger in the way. At the end of its travel, in fact, I'm going to reshoot that. To tilt this cab forward, you've got to first grab this handle, which is connected through a linkage up there to the main lock. So you pull up on the handle, and it does 2 things. It unlocks it, and then it gives you a lever now that I can use to lift up. It definitely helps if you open up the doors, because that puts the weight forward and you're lifting this cab up. It's got some springs, but there's no hydraulic pump or cylinder or anything. Then you've got these 2 levers, just like on the hood of your car. You've got the hood unlatch lever, and then you've got the safety ones. This one actually has 2, and I can't do this while I'm holding the phone. So what I'm going to do is put my shoulder under here, or my right arm under here, and lift up on this handle. Once I get to the end of the travel, which will be about 1.5 inches or so, I will pull this lever, and then you lift up again until you reach the end of the travel, and you pull this one, and with that, then you can tilt the whole thing forward. So I'll meet you back here in a minute. All right, I couldn't operate this lever, push up on that, and hold the phone and pull on these 2 safety latches all at the same time. But I'm just holding it here. It's kind of balanced, and the springs do a pretty good job. I'm just holding this up with my just one hand here. So these are the safety latches, and again, you do them sequentially, bottom one first, then the next one. And while you do that, it takes a little bit to figure it out. You're gonna have to pick up on it until it reaches the end of travel for the one on the left, the bigger hook there. And then you go to the second one, which is this top lever, And then with that, now you can tilt the whole thing forward. Try not to let it slam, but I'm just using one hand here. And it comes down here, and there's this lock. So that kind of keeps it in place. I definitely have to replace that. And I'm going to replace this with that ceramic paper. It's specifically designed to insulate between engine compartments or generator compartments and other spaces. It's an 1/8 inch thick. The original one was called EHP, like Echo Hotel Papa, EHP roll board. And then there's another one made by, or called Ceratex. That's the other brand. And we get the Ceratex. EHP is great. We get the Ceratex. It's about half the price. Seems to be very similar. And we get that down in Tucson. But anyway, I'll replace all this stuff up here that's obviously chewed up. And with this tilted forward, now I can access the bolts or the nuts that hold the seat in place. So let me grab a wrench. Oh, before I leave, I'll tell you, this is Birdie. This is our old Hummingbird trailer, and she's in rough shape, so we're going to try to salvage her. And this is a bus that belongs to a customer. We're doing a roof raise on it. The cutest customer group couple, Eric and Heather, they're both tall. I have to look up to each of them. They must be 6'2" each. Anyway, super cute couple. They dropped their bus off here, and it's in progress for a roof raise. So we're taking out the interior sheet metal, and then we'll cut the sides, and I'll document that in a separate series of videos. But anyway, I figured out that this is a 1/2 inch nut on here, so I'm going to take these off. There are 4 bolts that hold the seat in, the seat track here, and then hopefully that doesn't fall down and take out my grinding. Since I've got the Victoria here tilted forward, let me show you these rings up there. That's the sealant. There were 2 yellow strobe lights up on top, and they still worked, but I didn't need strobe lights. I've got air horns, big long ones. I think they're 22 inches long. I'm putting 1 air horn on each side and then putting in a foot controlled air valve. So I'll show you that. I don't mean to keep saying I'll show you stuff, but I got a lot to do. Got to fix the air conditioning. The motor up here, the fan motor, I know is seized and there's no power to the unit. There's also a chip in the glass, a tiny little one over here. And I'll have to find that and I will repair that. But other than that, the glass is in great shape. And like I said, there is no rust except what I've created sort of artificially. But down in here, just a little bit of surface rust, hardly anything even worth mentioning, but I will spray this with underbed, liner and everything and just protect it. We are in Arizona, so we're not at great risk down here. And that's the diesel. So to lower this, I'll have to have one hand up here and then move to the lever up there. And then with one hand, I will pull this back. Normally it kind of locks forward when there's weight on it, but because I'm on a bit of a slope, the weight's pulling it, the slope and the forward weight is keeping the tension off that. So I'll close this up here, back in a second. I closed it up, but I want to show you one other thing. We've got, probably 20 different buses, and I've had a bunch of other vehicles, but I've never seen a fuel cap this big. Most of these diesel caps are 2-inch threads, and this thing must be, that's got to be 4 inches, 4.5 inches across. It's huge. I don't know why. I've never seen a diesel fuel cap that big, but hopefully I don't lose it. I'm not sure where I'll get another one. As far as removing the seat, I'm using my ubiquitous Harbor Freight tire pry bar. Lift that up. I'll go around to the other side and do the same. And then I'll get my friend Janelle to help me lift this out of here. Guess what? The seat's still here. I forgot about the seat belts. These belts on the side are free, but the other ones won't go through the seat crack. I've got to actually unbolt the anchor there in the back, and then I can pull them through from the front, and then I can get the seat out of here. These are held in with Torx head fittings, Torx head bolts, and that happens to be a number 50. Some people call them Star Drive. I think Torx is the brand, but anyway, it's a number 50. So let me crank the middle ones out, and then we'll get this seat out. Got one side down and one to go. These are obviously bolts through a captured or welded nut on the underside there. That's a shoulder bolt. It's called a shoulder bolt because it's got a shoulder on it. I like simple things. Sorry. All right, the seat is now free. It's out. So now I can push these seat belts through the small channels. You'll see it's pretty tight in there, and that's why I couldn't pull them out from the other direction. So I will get these pulled out. I'm going to take the center seat belts, lap belt only, and get rid of them, at least set them aside. I will not have a center seat. I'm going to make some kind of a cool little center console, something kind of, I don't know, steampunky. Here's a little access door that you can use to get back to the engine compartment. There is another one down here underneath the mat. And some of the engines are set up so that you can check the oil without having to tilt the cab forward through these compartments. But on this diesel, it doesn't get you anywhere important. We could actually close those up and we'll never need them. Do a little cleanup here with the air and this great cute little brush that I found underneath the seat. We'll do a little cleanup and I'll show you the new seats we got. Clean enough for now for first pass. And while we're in here, let me show you something else I thought was pretty cool. This is the windshield washer fluid reservoir. That's the windshield washer fluid pump. So you push on this with your foot and pump water out through the nozzles up there onto the windshield. And I thought that was kind of fun. If I can do this without making anybody sick, we'll walk around and I will show you the seats. I've bought seats before from a place that takes them out of Toyota Sienna minivans. They buy minivans and they immediately take the seats out to do handicap vehicle conversions. So they're brand new Toyota Sienna seats and they're in great shape. Obviously, they don't even get scratched taking them out, but they sit too high. I found a guy though down in Phoenix who was selling these, and these are BMW seats. They're actually right there is just about the perfect height, and with a lever on the other side, they will adjust up or down a bit too from this point. So they're going to be good. I think they're 18-inch runners here, which will fit in there nicely. And then here's a set of the Toyota seats. I think they're Toyota, but these actually not only are nice seats, but they swivel, which is great. I would have bought both pairs if I had enough cash on me yesterday when I went down there. but I was picking up steel. This is for that roof raise on the bus that's out in the parking lot. And this truck, this old gal is, well, gal, I guess we named her Hayward, so I guess she has a boy's name, identifies as a girl. But anyway, bought her as a crane truck in Hayward, Wisconsin, and with this materials handler on it, the materials handler, it's got a 33-foot reach, and we could pick up engines or solar panels and then rotate them around. I've been teaching my daughter how to use this, and she's gotten quite good at it. So I'm going to carry one of these seats over and plop it into place and see if it fits. Exciting. All right, got one in, and now it's time to work on the other. They fit well and they feel really nice. All right, the seats are in. I've drilled the holes, and this is my daughter Ruby. Anyway, some of these I could get to, like this one I could get to from underneath here, but the others I can't reach. So Ruby's gonna hold the wrench on the inside and listen to music at the same time, and I'll go tighten these on the bottom. Good morning, it's the next day. The seats are fully installed, bolted in. I've reattached the seat belts, and I'm very pleased with them. So this is gonna be great. The only change I'm going to make is I'm gonna cut off the locks for the fore and aft, the slider adjustments. They protrude a little bit farther than I want, so I will shorten those at some point. But other than that, I got nothing else for you except for this. The chickens are very happy. These will make you happy. They get organic food and all of the garden scraps. Cute little dinosaurs.